Hey, this is Andrew bringing you another Keyforge deck reveal and review. This is actually an alt art deck for the store leaderboard, the monthly leaderboard at my store for November. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with how this works, in order for a store to participate in the leaderboard, they need to purchase a leaderboard kit through, well, I guess in the US it's all through Alliance, supposedly. And then they should get an allocation in Gem that they can, and it'll track for them. So, for example, my local store, I could look up by the store name and track the leaderboard there. Now, at the start of November, Amber Shards were being given out for 2 weeks in, not necessarily at the start of November, but when Worlds Collide came out. Amber Shards were being given out in 5x increments, so 5 times the normal amount. And so the leaderboard totals for November were quite large, and what the leaderboard is tracking is Amber Shards awarded to you at local chain-bound and sealed weekly sealed events. So in this case, for November and December, my store only ran chainbound. They weren't running weekly sealed. So basically every time I showed up at chainbound, if I did well, even if you don't win, even if you don't do well, you get some Amber Shards awarded to you. And if you do well, you get even more. And so in the end, I had enough Amber Shards to be in the top 4 for both months. And again, that is per store. So if you have multiple stores locally, then you could win at both of them or just one of them, and you're not, competing across stores. If you're going to events split between stores, you're going to have a rougher time. This kind of incentivizes you to stick with a store if you're going to do multiple events. Anyway, so for the month of November, the leaderboard deck has at least 1 copy of Hock in it. That's why we definitely see shadows here. So it has the card Hock in it, and every copy of Hock that is in it will be an alt art version of Hock. And I'll show you how that comes up later. This is what a normal Hock looks like from another deck. And then when it comes up in here, in this deck, it'll look different. Now, I did already kind of look at the list, and I'm going to go through it more speedily than normal, or at least I'm going to attempt to. I'm really bad at that. But we're pretty much guaranteed shadows. I haven't heard of anybody getting it as an alt art, or as a Maverick rather, but I mean, maybe it could happen. And this deck is named Tripicus of Giant Gopolis. It is shadows as well as Saurian and Untamed. Alright, so let's kind of go through this quick. I'm going to flip it around and do it the way that Jean-Claude does it. So we have Wild Spirit. That is an upgrade with a bonus amber that gives a creature Reap, capture 1. Feathered Shaman's cool. That's a 2-power human witch with elusive and fight, Reap, ward each of Feathered Shaman's neighbors. And then Pampaka Inga. That's the one that gives +2 power to the things to the right of it. A Mimicry. I'm glad for that. Mimicry makes most decks good. It's a great card. Gebek. That's alright. Tantadlin. I think there are 2 copies of Regrowth in here. That's good. I'm happy to have 2 copies of Regrowth. And it might be good with the Pampaka Inga, I guess, to bring it back multiple times. Molefin is good Steel Hate. It's hazardous 3 power, but after amber is stolen from you, it deals 1 damage to each enemy creature for each amber stolen. Imprinted Murmook drops your key cost and is elusive. Harmonia can potentially make us get extra amber if we're behind on creatures. I'm not sure that's going to happen in this deck, but we'll see. And then Ghost Hawk, good for getting Reaps out of your non-untamed creatures on your untamed turns. Manchego is an interesting one. It's a 3-power human thief. So, by the way, really quick, in the Untamed here, I'm excited about the Mimicry. It's decent stuff. Nothing amazing. Happy about the Imprinted Murmook and the Ghost Hawk. Nothing crazy, but good stuff. So, it's pretty okay. Probably like definitely in like the top, definitely in the top half of Untamed setups I've seen in this set. I think probably in the top quarter. Manchego is a 3-power human thief. With play, if you have 5 or fewer cards in your deck, steal 2. So it's good to get this late in the game. Now, interestingly, paired with regrowth, there's some interesting stuff that could happen here. It could shuffle itself back in with the Reap from the Ghost Hawk too. So yeah, interesting stuff that could happen. Key Forgery is an artifact with bonus amber, and basically it's like a miasma that might fire. And so your opponent, if your opponent would forge, they name a house, and then you reveal a random card from your hand. Oh, that's interesting. I think I played that wrong the last time I played a game with it. It was my opponents, and I think they read it wrong. So that your opponent who's trying to forge names a house, and then you reveal a random card from your hand. And if that card is not of the named house, destroy Key Forgery, and they do not forge that key. So if it is of the house, so let's assume you have a 2/2/2 hand, and probably as far as they know you do have a 2/2/2 hand. They have like a 1 in 3 chance of guessing right, and if they guess right, then they forge, and this sits there. But if they guess wrong, then they don't forge. They skip their forge a key step, or they just don't forge. They don't spend their amber, and this gets destroyed. So it's not like it can't keep them off indefinitely. Yeah, interesting card. Subtle Maul. It is a very interesting card. It's better than Miasma in the sense that you don't have to play it. The timing is less detail oriented. Like you don't have to play it the turn before they would forge. You can play it several turns early on, and then it'll still have an effect later. But you're not guaranteed that it will. Subtle Maul, Simon, got 2 Simons. We have a mug. Chimera Eclipse is potentially good with the, really good with the Manchego. If we get the Manchego at the end with the Chimera Eclipses, that's amazing. Now, is that going to happen? No, not most games, but if it does, it's really cool. And even mid-game, that's a decent way to get the Manchego back in your deck. Javinda can be okay. Inky Gloom. And then here is that alt art Hawk. And look, you can see the difference, right? Ta-da! One on the left is the normal art, and the one on the right is the alt art. He's, or she, whoever, one of the Shadow's elves is breaking into an artifact, I guess, which makes sense. Card still does the same thing. Gain you an amber, destroy an artifact if you do gain another amber. And the flavor text is the same too. Then we have a Bad Penny. That's okay with the Javinda. That's a lot of 1s in there. It's potentially interesting with the Chimera Eclipse, where you might maybe you have creatures on the board that you don't want to leave, and so you put the Bad Penny on the flank and then Chimera Eclipse and keep your other creature. I've used Bad Penny to really good effect with Spike Trap, because you just drop the Bad Penny on the end, use the Spike Trap, Bad Penny comes back to your hand, you discard her. So interesting stuff there. Alright, and then on to the Saurian, we have Imperial Road. It's an artifact and location with Omni. Play a Saurian creature. That creature enters play stun. So this lets you get the Saurian creatures out of your hand outside of your Saurian turns, but they interplay stun. So when you actually go to be Saurian, you're going to have to exhaust them just to get rid of the stun and not be able to use them right away. But it's still interesting, and the ones with constant effects, you get that benefit right away. Then we have Regrettable Meteor. Great card if you can play it at the right time. Library of Peliosaurus, very interesting. Yeah, that's a solid card. Golden Spiral, very good with Library of Peliosaurus, because these together turn into ready and use a creature you control, gain an amber. Senator Shrix. another potential way to use the Pliosaurus. We actually have 2 of those. That's interesting. And then I think 2 Rhetor Gallums. Prefectus Ludo is pretty good with those. Legatus Raptor. Chant of Hubris, more captured amber manipulation, and then Axiom of Grisk. So if we do have amber on all our, on most of our Saurian creatures, we can use the Axiom to wipe the board and be in pretty good shape. Wild Spirit on Shrix could be interesting. Feathered Shaman could be interesting too. Panpaka Enga has some potential. And, you can unstun. Maybe you've got Saurian creatures in with Imperial Road on a Shadow's turn, and then on an Untamed turn you unstun them with Ghost Hawk. There's interesting possibilities here. So, yeah, I will have to try this out and see. I don't think it's like amazing, but it seems fine. Seems pretty good. And definitely different than other decks that I have, so I like that. Yeah, well, this was my alt art Hock deck. Only 1 Hawk, but that's fine. That's an okay number of Hawks. 2 or 3 isn't bad, though. And this was Tripicus of Giant Gopolis. I hope you enjoyed, and soon I will put up a video with my alt art Axiom of Grisk that I got for December. Thanks. Forge some keys.